Welcome.
Oh, here we go. Welcome to Secular Soapbox. Our guest for tonight is Elliot Saxton. Elliot runs a YouTube channel, Brave New History. Please feel free to interact with us in the chat and give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you like what we do here on Skeptic Haven, please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on all of our awesome content. You can also become a patron on Patreon of the show. Let's get started. I always get those words like intertwined.
Same. When I do my podcast, Patreon.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how you doing, Stacy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. My allergies are killing me, but other than that, it's dandy.
Aw. Well, I'm sorry about your allergies.
I'm sorry too.
Yeah.
This is what God did, right? This is all his fault.
Totally. Thanks.
Perfect creation, right?
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, hello everybody in the chat. Feel free to interact with us. We'll be reading some comments here and there.
Yay.
Especially the super chats.
Yes, we have Pragmatic Crystal and Kalasia. I think that's how you pronounce.
Kalasia,
yeah. I love seeing our friends. So thank you for being here. And welcome to Elliot, who is a new face to some of us. I've seen him on a couple other shows, but it's nice to see you here.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to
welcome.
Yeah. So
you have a nice library in your house.
Yeah,
I like it. All these books here, they're all mine. I read them all cover to cover every single day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
This is not a green screen at all.
Wait. Who's talking about green screens?
No.
Not me. You conduct board meetings too at that long
board meetings. Yeah.
Like if you remember the original Batman movie, it's like that. Like I'm really eat at one end, and
Yes.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's get started. Go for it, Beth.
Oh yeah. So hi. So you want to tell us a little bit about your background? First of all, when we were chatting with you before, you were saying that you were in an ultra conservative. Is that the right term? Religion. So how was your upbringing? What were some of the core beliefs, traditions? How was it growing up? Were you indoctrinated as a kid, or was that something that you got into later in life?
Was I what as a kid?
Oh, were you indoctrinated into this?
For sure.
Okay, well, yeah.
But so Evangelical Free Church of America. They're based in, I think, Minneapolis. For sure in Minnesota. That's where I live.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And it's very Swedish. So they would have what's the fish? Lutefisk dinners and whatnot. So it used to be the Swedish Evangelical Free Church of America, but they dropped the whole Swedish thing. No,
What made it Swedish? Just that it came from there, or was there like meatballs served, IKEA furniture?
Yeah, no. A lot of people were Swedes too. Maybe that's not coincidental, but there was like a split in Sweden, so it's kind of like high church, low church, and it was that they didn't like the idea of they had Lefsa.
Oh, what is Lefsa?
Oh yeah, it's like what do you want to call it? It's like Swedish tortillas. And
like a flatbread. Like naan. Okay.
Yeah, like naan. And then
looked it up. Okay.
You put butter and sugar on it. So it's like everything, like the most unhealthy thing you can think of. Like it's all the
put it in my mouth.
Fat and the sugar. And...
All right.
I love it.
Okay. That's really cool. So were you born into this church? Are you Swedish? Is that where your like family roots are?
I mean, yes.
Here I'm
I
making
mean,
fun of your.
we're not really like all about Sweden or anything, but yeah, like we do have roots in Sweden, like, and which is funny because like a while back we had like distant family from Sweden come over, and like we like explained the customs that we thought were from Sweden that we had, like on a child's first birthday to bake a lamb cake, like a cake in the shape of a lamb.
Oh.
They've never heard of that. Like this, like our Swedish family's never heard of that tradition. And we talked about lutefisk and eating lutefisk. They've never heard of the dish before. So it's just kind of funny how like the traditions we thought were authentic Swedish things apparently aren't.
Interesting.
And interestingly, like while we're on the topic of religion,
Well,
it's
that's why we're here.
I was talking to them and like Swedes and religion, yeah, fish and lie. Yeah, you'd
Okay.
think that would be deadly, but and you'd think, I mean, it tastes that way, like it's like like a weird kind of jello, you know? And actually, since then, I've turned, well, I didn't turn vegan like you turn into a werewolf or anything, but I became vegan.
Okay.
And I guess I don't want to say it quite like that. I became vegan. And
I'm so sorry.
I always think, oh, I thank you.
Yeah, me too.
It's one day at a time, right? But I only ate the lutefisk just because of tradition, just because like that's what you do, which is a little bit like, you know, maybe religious customs, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But I was going to go into our Swedish family from Sweden, asking them about like religion over there and what it's like. They say, well, they don't believe in God, but they are Christians. And because Sweden is a Christian country, and I'm like, but you don't believe in God though, right? And no, but we're Christian because Sweden is a Christian country. And we're all, what is it? Like confirmed? I don't think that's the word though. Like they're christened into Christianity, like they take the classes and are confirmed. I forget the term they use. And you're married in the church and you're buried.
You mean like in the school systems that it's already ingrained in it? Okay.
Yeah, and so, but they're all Christian.
Okay.
Right? Everybody in Sweden is Christian, although I think only 20% believe in God, which is very interesting. And like, it's hard, like they don't associate being Christian with any kind of belief system. It's like you're a member or not a member.
That is so strange. Where I'm from Peru, and Catholicism is everywhere. It's in the government, it's in the schools, even in the public, education. Like you go to the courts, the judge has a freaking crucifix right there next to a Bible. I swear it's like that. The president shakes hands with the archbishop, whatever, all the time. So it's very like part of the culture, right? But I would say a lot of people do actually believe in God, and they associate Catholicism with believing in a God, unlike what you just said. That's so odd to me.
That is very odd. So it's like more of a cultural thing, like just like a political party.
Yeah, a little bit. And it's kind of funny, like you associate that with like the political right that they would say, or at least in the United States, maybe they don't say it in Canada, this is a Christian country founded by Christians, right? And like, but for someone to say it is like, oh yeah, it's just because Sweden is a Christian country, right? So it's like almost on the opposite end of things, you know. So it just sounds a little weird, doesn't it?
That sounds very weird, actually. I've never heard of someone claiming to be a Christian but not believing in God. Like,
Christian atheist.
Yeah, well, that's actually what one of the chat, Scallon, he said, or she, I'm sorry, I don't know. It's the same in Glasgow. If you say you're an atheist, they ask Protestant or Catholic atheist.
What?
So I guess just.
Oh,
That's
I think
hilarious.
that's a Christopher Hitchens joke, right?
Oh, is it? Okay.
So like Christopher Hitchens told this joke about
Okay.
he's there's this guy, he's over in Glasgow, and this is during the, what do they call it? There's a lot of hard times between Catholics and Protestants, right? What do they call that?
The Reformation?
No, it's like
The what?
it's a synonym for hard times. Like it was the,
Oh, okay.
but anyway, I mean, it doesn't drive the story, but
Yeah.
but this guy, like somebody comes up to him with a gun, like he's walking down the street, someone sticks a gun in his back, and he's like, "Are you Catholic or a Protestant?" And he doesn't know, like, what, you answer the wrong thing, you might be dead, right? And he's like, "Well, actually, I'm an atheist." And then the guy says, "Are you a Catholic atheist?" Or
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. So back to like your upbringing. So you were born into this church. How important was the belief system and religion to your family? Like, did you go to church every week? Was it something that was like ingrained in you as a child?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like Sunday school, you know. Maybe it's a false memory because we had these Bibles that we were given, right? These children's Bibles. And I remember I went through it recently, like the Bible. I thought I remembered actual pictures of people burning in hell in the Bible. But I looked through it recently and I'm like, no, it's like I couldn't find it. So maybe I'm like misremembering. But yeah, we were all about that, like the Bible and like little pictures on like the theology of it.
Right. Did you ever get baptized as a child, or was it something that you got baptized as an adult?
Neither.
So you're going to hell, man.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I guess. What can you do? But
yeah,
okay.
I mean, I'm
Sure.
Calvinist now, so just whatever happens, right?
Yeah.
You're either elect or you're not, so don't worry about it, right?
Exactly.
So, no, I'm kidding. But
You're going to Catholic hell.
there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe Baha'i hell. Maybe that would be the best. I don't know.
Is that the hell?
I want to go to the coolest hell that there is.
Yeah, or like
AC. Yeah.
But at this point, I'm going to all of them at the same time. So
yeah,
get a tour. Get your stamps and everyone. Okay.
Like a passport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta get stickers.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Was there a big emphasis on the fire and brimstone, like in other denominations? You know, it's like all the sermons are about you're gonna go to hell. You're gonna go to hell. In your experience,
sort of. Okay. So it's kind of like the same thing as like, God doesn't hate sinners; He hates the sin, and you'd hate for it to have eternal separation, wouldn't you? It's a nice soul you have there, so it's like worded in the positive, right? But the implication is do this, or
right.
Like, maybe it'll sound harsh, but I think of it as like the doctrine is identical to like Westboro Baptist, right? But they'll say it in the positive, so it's not like, whereas Westboro Baptist doesn't give a rip, they'll just like say it, but like these guys, I mean, it's in nice terms, like no, God loves you and wants to save you from hell.
Yeah,
and you send yourself to hell, and so it wouldn't be like putting the like.
I get what you're saying, because I grew up kind of in church like that, where it was like a soft cell, not even a cell, but just like a soft blow of hell. Like I didn't want to go there, and I was afraid of deconstructing and deconverting because of hell. Like I was terrified of it, but it wasn't presented in such a way that was like I thought I was actually going to go there as a Christian. So did you ever have that fear of hell as a Christian, or
Yeah,
Have an assurance of heaven.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of a similar way that I never thought I'd go there, but you know, it's a place that you would go.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I've always thought about Buddhist monks. Like it's a little bit weird that they would go to hell. So
But they
that was
will.
yeah,
I don't make the rules, man.
yeah, no, yeah, that's true. That was one of the things I was thinking. And when I was like full on in it, I'm like, I mean, it sounds terrible, but it's like it's too bad, you know, about gay people, but you know, you can't win them all, you know. Like, I mean, it sounds terrible, but it's like, well, you feel bad, but you know, it's probably for the best. You know, like
Yeah, no, I get what you're
justifying
saying.
your
You have that cognitive dissonance of like thinking, okay, this doesn't actually make any sense, but this is what I'm taught to think or believe. So, and thinking back, like for me, when I think back to those beliefs, I'm just like, I can't believe I actually thought those things or outwardly agreed with those things. Or hi, that's my mom.
Hi, Dee, we love you.
Hi, we do, we love you. So, or even like, I don't know, because you mentioned Calvinism. I don't know if you ever believed or
no, I did.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the last church that I attended was a Calvinist church, and they said some pretty awful things about like
Yes.
the LGBTQ from the pulpit. And I think back to when I was sitting there in the seat, and I go back and I'm like, I wish I stood up and walked out it made me so uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
I go back to those moments like, oh, why didn't I? But yeah.
So now that you're out of a religion, do you feel like it's arrogant for a person to say that, oh, I have the right belief and I'm going to go to heaven and the rest of y'all are going to go to hell? Do you think it's like something like that, arrogant?
I mean, no, I think, oh, well, it's great for you. Bless your heart.
Okay.
You know, it's
bless your heart. Really?
I mean, like, it's kind of like a kid showing you a picture they drew, and like they're gonna have a pet unicorn, and that's great. I don't know. I don't want to like tell them, you know. I don't see it as arrogant per se. It's just like, well, that's what you believe, and you know,
the rest are gonna be tortured forever, man.
I mean, you can believe that. I mean, that's the world that you live in, but like, okay, like, no, like, I remember, I was talking to like, I forget what church this is, but they like kind of trying to bait me to get a reaction out of me about like hell and all that, and I forget what it was. Like maybe it was about LGBT stuff, or just trying to get a rise out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I know that's what you believe. Like, I know he was trying to get my goat, but like, I mean, no, that's just what you believe. I don't think that's real. Like, and part of me thinks you don't even believe that's real either, because you wouldn't be kind of coming after me like that if it wasn't like to, you know, cognitive dissonance to try to convince yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
But no, it just doesn't get a rise out of me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that denomination you were part of, I'm so sorry, free
Evangelical.
Or evangelical free church.
Or evangelical
America.
free,
God. What sets it apart from other different
what makes
denominations?
it free?
Yeah.
You don't have to pay. You don't have to
pay.
So yeah. So two things make it free, none of which is cost. But so it's free from the state religion. So it's not connected to the official state religion. It's free in that sense. And then also each congregation has a wide latitude on like what they believe. So they particularly don't take a stance on Calvinism. So you could be Calvinist or not. And then one thing, like, they don't take a stance on baptism, believers' baptism versus infant baptism. But in my day, maybe it was just my church, they did, and it was only believers' baptism. And that's why I was never baptized. And
Gotcha.
let's see, it's only like the general stuff is what they are kind of all about. So it's free in terms of the congregations, or just have a wide latitude, and then also not connected to the state.
Okay.
Okay. Free as independent rather than free as in no cost.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Was there purity culture in present in those beliefs?
And like
Okay.
lately we're all about like purity culture, and it just affects women is kind of like the thing. But I don't know, from my experience, it was even more the case for men and boys.
Really?
Like, it's this whole like, well, women are just gonna like just do whatever, but you have to tell them no. Like, you're the boss, right? And it's even like it's you're the person that's doing it. I don't know, like, it's hard to explain, but like I thought it was even more a thing for men and boys. I don't know if you've had a similar experience or can like kind of relate to that, but it's like I don't know, but yeah, purity culture was a huge
Right.
thing.
I guess maybe more pressure on the males than the females
Yeah,
to take more responsibility, which is kind of unusual though, because usually they blame the females, right, for everything.
I mean, maybe it's just my perspective, but I would say that they blame the men and boys more, because it's like,
Interesting.
I mean, if you think of it like from their perspective, well, Eve is going to eat the apple, but you gotta like not, you gotta be there to make sure she doesn't eat the apple, right? Because you're next to God, right? So it's up to you to make like guard yourself. But I mean, I get it that like maybe I've heard like in the LDS church, it's not so much enforced on men. Like, it's kind of like the opposite is like, well, men aren't going to listen to that, so we got to make it all about the women to be the people for the purity culture. But I don't know, like, yeah, at least from my perspective, that was kind of how it was.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Beth.
I was going to say it is toxic for both, males and females.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, that's no question. However, it tends to be shifted more. The burden gets shifted more to the females, as to they're the ones responsible for the emotions that the males, get from them. So therefore, they have to be the ones covering up. They have to be the ones behaving. They have to be the ones not tempting, the males. Total BS, but
yeah, which like so my inner apologist or conservative evangelical kind of jumps out to say, well, that's unbiblical, isn't it? Because like, what's the instruction for the women, right? Is it to never turn on men? Does it ever say that anywhere ever? Does it ever say that?
That's true.
But does it ever instruct men? Well, just be on guard. You might have to gouge your eyes out. Right? Yeah,
Right.
it does
That's
say
a good point.
that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to put it on women, like, oh, you don't want to like, have like, show your sleeves or show your arms too much or whatever, or like, it never says that, right? But like, men are told, like, well, it's better that you gouge your eyes out. Right? So I think, I don't know, it's weird. I think that's like, it's a recurring theme. Like, the more conservative you go with it, the more you kind of switch things around a little bit and like add things that aren't there. But maybe it's just a culture thing that we do that.
So unusual to hear that there are different interpretations of this book. It just blows my mind.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that made you start to question?
Yeah. So a lot. I mean, as you could guess, like, I mean, I was into apologetics, right? And like, just like researching about like what's going on here. And like the biggest thing is like the biggest light bulb moment is the word Trinity never occurs in the Bible, right? And I mean, just like the overwhelming consensus is like Mark didn't actually write Mark, right?
Mhm.
And like the gospels that are named after, like nobody believes that, right? And
Right.
like literally nobody believes that Second Peter is what it claims to be, written by Peter, in the general timeline. But just things that are just like, wow, that's interesting, because like when you're like really conservative, you don't really question like how we got the book. You almost visualize like the King James version of the Bible just floated down from heaven one day, like
That's
so.
literally what I thought when I was a kid.
Wait,
Yeah,
stop. What?
exactly.
Really? Are you
Well, I
serious?
was a little child, like a very
Yeah.
little child.
I don't know these
And
things. Ah!
like,
Well, I'm
I could
telling you now.
visualize it like, so Jesus is floating up, and then as Jesus is floating up, now the Bible is coming down, right?
Shoo,
love
shoo, 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 shoo. Like,
I love
like
your
that?
reenactment.
Yeah, we should do a whole video about
Jesus is
this.
floating up, the Bible is coming down.
I have a little Jesus thingy. Oh, I was gonna do a little demonstration, but it's over there.
um, yeah. And and another thing is just like how or a lot of the conservative churches are just plain anti-gay,
Yeah.
and it's just not in the Bible, really. I mean, I remember I was debating it on the you know anti-gay side and trying to be like, well, no, this is wrong, right? and and I was just like, well, I mean, okay, so we can go to the Old Testament, but that's done away with. But so we can go to the Ten Commandments, and it's like, it's a wonder don't be gay isn't one of the Ten Commandments. And I was just like, kind of
Right.
like, isn't that weird, right? And I was like, I wish in the gospel Jesus would just straight up say it. Would just say, "Don't be gay. That's a sin," right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, why didn't he? Why didn't he? And then it dawns on me, like maybe that's not even a thing, right? Like
Mm,
why is that, right? He
Yeah.
he said plenty of stuff about, but yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, that was another thing. Like maybe this is all just like a cultural thing, and it's not really based on the Bible, um and also, I mean, I had the thought, I mean, just to go along the LGBT thing,
mhm.
uh like how they would say, like maybe it was the case with you that, well, they're just trying to recruit people like to like,
hmm
and it was just like, and I thought about it like, but
That's the
like
pot calling the kettle black.
I never thought about that. I never thought about that. That's so true,
Yeah.
right?
Anyways, what were you going to say? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, but it's like I thought about it and I'm like, but why do so often like gay people like keep their relationship secret? That's not very good for recruiting, is to keep that your gay secret.
For recruiting.
Like that's not like, I think this is made up. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Mhm.
think that's what's going on. I think maybe they are actually gay,
Mm.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
You don't just choose that.
yeah, and so I mean, a little bit is like a little bit of reflection on like, does what we're teaching make sense, right? And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
ultimately it's maybe it is like a psychological thing. Like you accuse other people what you're doing yourself.
Exactly.
You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on psychologically with that.
Yeah.
That'd be
The
a
ones who
thing.
protest too much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna what you said about like I wish like Jesus doesn't come right out and say that, because my husband used to always say that.
Mhm.
He's like, Jesus literally never once talks about like homosexual relationships, nothing. Like in the Gospels, there is no mention of that from Jesus. And if we're supposed to follow Jesus, wouldn't you think he would mention that? And my husband was like, it's all Paul. Like that's all what Paul says. And I was like, when I was still a Christian, I'd say to my husband, I'm like, you just don't like Paul. Like I would be
you're a Paul hater.
Yeah. And I'm just like, what? It's all in the Bible. Like it's all the word of God. You have to just take it all. It doesn't matter who said what. It's the word of God. So then when I deconverted, I was like, you hated Paul. And now I can say that. And we can just be honest about it all. It's all a bunch of bull. I won't swear in the West. But I was this close. But yeah, he had a point. So if the person who's running this whole show, the head of it all, doesn't say anything, then why do we need to make this like one of the key points that they just drive home again and again and again?
Or slavery. I don't know. Maybe
or slavery.
Sneak it in, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and not to like talk over you, but that was another part of like even my story too. Is I remember sitting in church thinking, I wonder if there is any type of like same-sex attraction within the animal kingdom. I had that thought in church, and I was like, I need to look that up, and I forgot about it until like after my deconversion, and then I'm like, holy crap, there is like, this is, because I thought that day in church, if there shows to be this in the animal kingdom, then this is not a sin. This is not a choice. This is definitely like a biological, like,
you know, those gay penguins are going to hell too.
Oh, totally. Like, yeah.
Well, maybe it'll be a good change of pace with, you know, the Arctic, you know, maybe it'll be a little bit warmer.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, it's interesting hearing other people, like their story of when those questions would start to arise, and they tend to be very similar questions in a way, and that gets you thinking. And it's not because we left and we wanted to sin, it's because we have critical thinking skills and we want to know more, and just getting thrown the same Bible verses, like the Bible's true because it says it's true, is no longer good enough.
Well, I remember
that's my secular soapbox. Okay, go.
So with the whole idea is the Bible's true because it says it's true. I remember going to this ELCA church, and that was essentially the sermon, right? Because like I still I wanted to believe that the Bible was inerrant, right, and like ought to be believed. And the sermon was, we should, like, it's true because it says it's true. And I was like, I walked out of that sermon like, I'm never coming here again. That was the stupidest sermon. But what was I? Oh, Bishop Spong, right? Are you familiar with him?
No.
So he passed away, and he was a bishop in the Anglican Church.
Okay.
And he had this idea that Paul was gay and that he was like self-loathing, and that's why he wrote the stuff that he did. Because like, so either
I could see it.
Either this is interpolation, meaning somebody added this later, or he has psychological issues. I mean, or
I can also see.
Yeah. But like he would add, like, I forget where it is, but it's like, all right, so you know, we need to be righteous and have faith in the Lord. And this one time I was in Greece and I saw these bunch of lesbians and it was terrible. And we are guided by faith, and we're saved by works. And it's just like added in there, this like random reference to lesbians. And it's just weird, like, and it was terrible. And it was,
wow. Don't lie, you liked it.
No, I mean, it was just like, and then he's saying a lot of like, my body doesn't obey my mind, right?
Which is that a song?
Maybe.
Like it
I don't know.
Be like
R. Kelly or something.
I was gonna say R. Kelly. Yeah, I can hear it in my head. Okay, anyways, yeah.
My mind says yes, but my body says or something like that. Anywho, don't want to be too tangential here.
So yeah, I think maybe Paul. I mean, maybe he wasn't. I don't know, but like it seems like he's like a self-loathing gay man sometimes.
Yeah, and that thorn in his side,
Totally
or the
makes
thorn in
sense.
his flesh was because
Could have been.
Yeah, in the
So
Bible,
it's thorn in the flesh,
right?
But so not necessarily his flesh. I personally like. I can see how maybe it's like it's sexuality. You know, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to believe that it's Peter, who's just like a human thorn. He hates Peter. That's my reading of it.
Okay, now this is getting interesting.
Spill the tea.
Yeah. Actually, as I'm drinking tea, right? But,
I'm just drinking water. But interesting. Yeah.
but I mean, it could
have
be
heard that.
like, what's that?
I have heard that theory, and I could definitely see that being something because he wrote about it so much, and just he wrote about like just sex and sexuality altogether, just so much. It was like, dude, like just
projection.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Like here in Minnesota, we had who was the Michelle Bachman? Do you remember the name Michelle Bachman?
Yes, I used to see her on Christian programming.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And so her husband, a lot of people are speculating because he does seem a little, flamboyantish, right? So some people speculate on that. And I remember, I think it was Michelle Bachman's husband that was just like, no, all men struggle with attraction with other men, but we have to fight it. And and if that's not like, no, we don't all like, that's only if you're really gay, like, you know what I mean? But he's trying to, and so maybe that's a little bit of Paul, and that's why he's so into it.
Right.
Totally makes sense.
Interesting.
You see that a lot with like pastors and politicians.
Yeah. Like we were saying, the ones who protest so much are the ones that they're using it to kind of cover up for something, which they don't need to cover up. Like if they were free to just live their life and not have to act like this is the worst thing that you could possibly do. Just
see, that's a consequence of purity culture, religion, all of that, repression of your feelings and shame and all that. Yeah, it's messed up.
Is sad. So it hurts a lot of people. So,
and you wonder, like, psychologically, where does the need come from to boss people around like that, right? Like, there has to be something, like, especially with sexuality, right? Like, the group has to control you like that. Like, you wonder why. It has to benefit the group somehow. I don't know, but
I've wondered that too, just with purity culture and just I don't know necessarily, but maybe I'll find out. I don't know. Yeah.
So when it comes to your deconstruction journey process, was it something that was pretty slow process? Was it just fast, like a Jenga tower, like a lot of people? Was it, I don't know. It's always different for everybody.
Yeah, no, slow. So, I mean, so I go from, I guess, as conservative as you can get, like, and then just like, it's kind of interesting how all the conservative churches kind of have the same stuff built around it, right? But just like everything is maximally conservative. And then my family moved, right? And then we went to another denomination, the Evangelical Free Church of, no, it's not, the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, right? Which is, so you go from like the most conservative church to probably the most liberal church, right?
Wow.
And then I mean, it's more like it's just more liberal. Like, I don't know, it's hard to
kind of got like the wheels turning and you thought of things in a new way that maybe you didn't think about in the conservative church before?
Yeah, I mean, like, you go there, like, well, so it was like, previous church, everybody's all about, like, Rush Limbaugh and stuff. And then this church, people are, like, mostly Democrats, right? But, like, with my family, it wasn't really about theology. It was just like, well, we're, like, just find a church, right?
Right.
And so then I go to so I join Unitarian Universalist Church.
Oh, wow. Okay.
After that, which I think of like, and I mean, it's not me coining the term or the phrase, but it's like, now I'm forgetting, when you're methadone, right? It's methadone for evangelicals.
Okay.
It's like, so when you're,
I'm like, is that a drug or something?
no, yeah, it is. So when you're like on like the hard stuff, like, like maybe you're a Calvinist, right? And you're just like doing straight Calvinism. And then you need to get off of it.
To like wean you off.
Yeah. And then so that's the methadone, is the Unitarian Universalism.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I have never heard it like that, but that is
not to be confused with Methodist.
Yes, I know.
Which, yeah, I mean, Methodists are pretty liberal. True. I've known that there's an atheist minister in the Methodist Church.
Oh, what?
How does that work? And that's kind of like those Christians who don't believe in God.
Well, I mean,
maybe he's Swedish.
Yeah, no,
I mean, I know there's pastors who are still preaching who are like in the clergy project, that's their livelihood and they don't know how to get out. Like, I understand that, but to be an openly atheist minister,
so
that is what I
interesting.
Don't understand.
Well, I mean, so you would get into like process theology where God isn't like a man in the sky with a beard, you know? God is like the process of life, right?
Okay.
Or like I mean, you probably like, I know some people where they had like, you know, very strong or traumatic deconversion experiences are probably like screaming about this, right? About, you know, well, like, no, this is BS, right? But if you think about it, like, what is God but like the ultimate source of things, right? That's God is how we got to be, right? Well, we got to be somehow we got to be, right? The universe is here. So like, what's the source of that, right? So I think we're talking about the same thing, but like what somebody's labeling God, someone is labeling, I don't know, the cause of the Big Bang or something, or like morality is caused by just
question mark.
What's that?
Question mark. That's all it is. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately, maybe, you know, a lot of people will say, "What is God?" Well, we don't know, right? It's unknowable, right? I mean, so we're kind of not that far apart. I don't know. Maybe you're thinking this guy's crazy, but I mean,
maybe there's perks.
What's that?
Maybe there's perks. Maybe there's lunch, free food. I don't know. I would go for the snacks.
Potlucks.
There you go.
I should be a pastor if there's food.
There you go. I mean, you can get a mega church and like have like really bright lights shining down on you and blink a lot and smile really heavily.
And wear really tight jeans and then have some smoke machines and
oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, you're done.
I do wear skinny jeans, so we're already there, I guess.
Yeah. Have you seen the Righteous Gemstones?
Yes.
Yeah. That is
funny
so funny. I want a mega church just so I can live that life.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow. Well,
so in the comments, somebody tell me, what would you have in your mega church?
Yeah. What would you have?
We'll read it at the end.
Good idea. So you are now you would consider yourself an atheist. Is that correct?
I mean, kind of like on my same spiel, like maybe atheist, if you know.
Did you say
Who is
egg like an egg?
Egg?
No,
egg?
not
No,
egg.
Like, are you a
vegan, no.
hard-boiled
I've sworn off
atheist?
eggs, so no, like
Okay.
egg, like.
IG.
What are you talking about? Like not without no, like what is egg? I don't know. But there's a YouTuber. He's Canadian. I don't know. Don't hold that against him. He's still pretty great.
I'm Canadian.
I know. That's why.
I looked
Messianic
it up.
Ed,
It
have
says
you heard of him?
atheism is the question of the existence of God is meaningless because the word God has no coherent and unambiguous definition.
There you go. So I mean,
Thanks, Wikipedia.
there you go. That's good. I mean, it doesn't have inherent meaning, because like we put meaning on things, but like,
Of course, yeah.
I don't know, like people think it's crazy and stupid to say like, well, God is the trees and the sunshine, right? But like, I don't think that's that bad, right? I don't know, like, I mean, it's as I don't know, but
Is that why? Sorry, this is kind of like a little segue near the end. Is that why you would? It's a very tangential question to ask you. Sorry, it's an inside joke.
Okay, gotcha. Because I'm not going to correct you. You're adding an extra.
I know.
Yeah.
Is that why you would still consider yourself like a historicist and think mythicism? Is that why you would hold to that position? Because you're
I mean, I think it's separate things. Like, I legitimately think Jesus existed as a historical person, right?
Okay.
I mean, I'm not like so jaded as to say like everything in the Bible is like I'm just going to take the polar opposite position on everything, right? Like a lot of people are like, well, no, Jesus is nonsense. Jesus never existed. Paul never existed, right? Nazareth isn't even a real city that ever existed, right? But no, I'm just like something happened, right, to create Christianity, right?
Right.
And generally movements are started by people that exist in reality. So, I mean, that's not the only reason, but like as a general, something happened. There was a historical figure. Yeah. But
do you think possibly it was like a combination of a few people that created this historical figure idea of Jesus? I'm just wondering. I have no. Yeah, I'm just wondering.
I mean, not really. Like, so there's some legend that was, well, let's be honest, a lot of legend that was tacked onto it later. And so, like, we might be dealing with like some various accounts of Josephus that are tacked on later, right, to him, or like prophecies that are tacked on, right, to make the story kind of fit prophetically. But I think there was like an individual person.
Okay.
But like, I mean, it's so much legend that like the person at the middle of the onion is just kind of a little bit obscure now. But
and stinky.
No, oh my God. Is that where they wash their feet?
Yeah. So like another thing that Baph and I were just talking about with this whole mythicism and historicism, when it comes to people who don't believe in like Baph and I are atheists, right? And you don't have to label yourself anything. How come this is such a heated topic amongst other atheists? Why do they get so like I just enjoy hearing I enjoy hearing arguments for the mythicist side of it and also the historicist. So why is this such a heated topic? Could you answer?
Well, maybe I'm a little bit biased in my position, right? Though, like I see it as the people who take the mythicist position, and I'm like not discounting them or anything or whatever, but I think a lot of it is based off of like a reaction to be like everything I grew up to believe was wrong, and it's like there's a bit of trauma that they're like it's like a sore spot if you try to say Jesus existed historically, it's like almost like brings up a violent reaction sometimes.
Hmm.
And then like on the historicist and like why would a historicist be upset? It's like these ideas are crazy. Like you believe this? Like the idea that Isaiah 53 was prophetic was a prophetic verse, like to Jews at the time, like they would expect that to be revealed. I mean, that's weak. Or like mystery cult origins of Christianity. Like there's a whole bunch of ideas about Christian origins, but nobody, no legitimate scholar believes in mystery cult origins, right?
Hmm.
But like that is something that like that's a hill that mythicists will die on, right?
Right.
And it's just like a lot of the ideas are just like we could just this is nonsense, right? And so you have like religious trauma, you know, and then you have people that are like this is a lot like what are you talking about? This is like come on, but yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I appreciate your answer because I do wonder, because I just enjoy sometimes hearing the discussions and entertaining the idea. I do find it interesting to think of it as a myth because a lot of it is kind of crazy, the
Yeah,
belief
well, I
to
mean,
begin with. But
and that's not to say that there's not myth involved, right? So like there's a lot of things that are tacked on to the story, but ultimately
Yeah.
we're talking about a historical figure. Like he didn't walk on water or
Multiply the fish and the bread, or
yeah.
well,
well,
I mean maybe like not in a miraculous way, but I have heard it explained that like it's like Marxism, like you're combining all your fish together. There's people take a fish, leave a fish, and like if everybody shares, that like that's how it originally was.
okay.
Well, but then again, we have to put the fish thing away because like that seems to be a later interpolation. So it's not until Irenaeus that they have fish involved with the loaves and fishes. The story was totally just loaves, and then fishes were added in
Oh.
later.
Oh, okay.
Love surprise.
But that's the vegan in me saying like, no. So
Fish are friends, not food.
exactly.
That's right. Let's
I
Exactly.
love
listen
fish.
to
I
Dory
freaking love fish.
and
Oh my
Nemo.
god. I could eat fish every day.
Yes. So we have some answers to Baph's question about what people would want to have in their megachurch. So Wes, if you could put up the answers, because I don't have that ability right now. But Stephanie Helms said she would have a megalith in her megachurch.
Megalith?
Okay, what is a
Is that
megalith?
a band?
Do you know what that is?
No, that's Megadeth. Megalith. Lith means stone, rock, like lith.
Okay.
Mega means large, so I'm
Well, yeah.
assuming like an obelisk
Oh, I guess I
structure.
could Google it.
So
I'm
something
Googling it.
phallic, basically.
Oh my god!
I'm just kidding. I don't know. Like Stonehenge is a megalith. There we go.
Oh, okay. Oh
Okay.
yeah, Stonehenge. That's what pops up for me.
I'd
that's
hold
kinda cool.
gaming events in my mega.
Ooh,
There
like
we go.
trivia nights.
Love trivia.
Yeah.
Rainbows, unicorns, glitter, and smoke machine.
Well, they have smoke machines already, but the unicorns and glitter and yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
cat
Art supplies.
and musical instruments. That sounds fun.
Mm.
Okay, what's next?
Oh.
Also, face painting tutus. Okay, I actually went to a church that they would do this quite often on
Tutus?
Saturdays. Not the tutus, but the face painting and cotton candy. They even would bring the farm animals. And yes, that's forest animals.
Every child gets a limited espresso.
I think she went to my old church.
Oh my god.
I'm not even joking.
Bonobo.
I'm
Is that like the monkey with the weird?
Yes.
Yeah.
meaning.
Yep. They're apes,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
No, not the brand. Bonobos is a clothing brand.
Yeah, we have two questions that I was just gonna
Yes. Yes.
Question
Yep.
for Elliot: was Saint Lucia a part of your celebrations? Also, strumming?
Yeah.
Say it again. I didn't understand that, Stacy. Can you repeat that?
Strumming. Sir, I'm trying to say it with that little dotty O. Surstrumming. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
what that
not
means.
familiar with surstrumming, but yeah, Saint Lucia was a thing. Like, I wasn't too into it, but like, there's like, they have like a older girl have like candles on her head with like leaves and stuff, and you
Okay.
sing like Saint Lucy. I don't know the words, but you're basically saying the word Saint Lucia. I don't know what it was about, but yeah, that was a thing.
Okay.
Surstrumming is
They did have Saint
fish.
Lucia, yeah.
It's a lightly salted, fermented Baltic Sea herring. So Swedish fish, but actual fish.
I like the little red Swedish fish. And another question says, does your past religion believe that communion is eating body parts of Jesus, or that they turn into Jesus once you eat them?
Do you all do communion, first of all?
Does your past religion believe that communion is eating body parts of Jesus? Neither. It's just like, yeah, so they would say like, and that was a big thing too. Like, that's what separates us from Catholics, is we don't believe that it's really Jesus. Like, it's really bodily.
It doesn't.
Yeah, no, it's just, it was just wine and bread.
Transubstantiation.
That's the word. Transubstantiation. Yes.
I was raised Catholic, so yes, they teach that. So it's so weird. I always thought it was so weird. I also Googled one time, how many wafers does it take to eat a whole Jesus?
Ew. How many?
Someone did the math out there. It's like 98,000.
Wow.
That's a lot. You'd never eat a whole Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Jesus.
Also, how do you know what part of Jesus you're getting? It's a mystery. It's a mystery.
I don't want to know.
You know, it reminds me of going to Germany and touring the churches over there, and like oftentimes they would have a nail from the true cross or a piece of wood from the true cross, of Jesus's blood as like a relic. And then you would see these, and like everybody had a piece of wood from the true cross or a nail and a little bit of blood. So I like envisioned, and this was like a joke that I said when I was there, like this cross must have been like 50 feet high and like nails everywhere. And like he was just like spraying blood, like, and everybody with their buckets, just because there's like, everybody had a relic of the cross, right? So this cross must have been huge.
That sounds like a metal show that I've been to.
Yeah, see?
I went to a metal show where the artist was throwing pig's blood onto the audience. It was so great.
Really?
Really?
That wouldn't be for me, you know.
I was in the back, so it's all good.
Yeah. You just got a little splash.
That was not the blood of Christ. So before we wrap it up, I have I guess you could say a last question. What are some things that you have allowed yourself to enjoy since you left religion? Because religion is very prohibitive of certain things. You know, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. But once you leave, you know, you get that weight off your shoulders. Is there anything in particular that you can think of that, you know, now you enjoy that you didn't used to?
Yeah, you know, I'm not too, I'm unfortunately not too wild and crazy. Like, I'm not going to metal shows, but, you know, I mean, it's like to consider unusual ideas, right? And to like research into it, where it's not like, oh yeah, you shouldn't look into that, right? Or consider this. But it's kind of like, you know, you can consider strange ideas like swoon theory, right? Which is a little bit out there. Like Jesus never really died. He just kind of passed out for a little bit, you know?
Like Elvis?
There you go, like Elvis. He really died, right?
Different king.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But like, yeah, I mean, I guess I've never like. I guess yeah, I didn't go. Maybe I should. Maybe today's the day. I just do something totally crazy that.
Nothing wild, like.
But like, what would you do?
Have
Really?
you gone to any drag shows? Because that's a lot of fun.
I've been to one.
I mean, but you couldn't do that under religion. I guess maybe you
I mean,
could.
I think I walked out of a stand-up comedy show when I was a Christian because I thought the comedy was too vulgar, and
What a Karen! Oh,
no, I just thought I felt so convicted. I thought, oh my gosh, like Jesus is literally sitting right here with me. He's so like ashamed of me right now. I have to leave. So I went and sat upstairs.
Right. So that self-paranoia, self-regulation of emotions, of feelings, of not allowing yourself to enjoy certain things because you were indoctrinated not to. Right. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You know, it can be like cursing. It could be like, I don't know, eating certain things, or I don't know. Yeah. For me, it wasn't like that, but for certain people it was. So anything like that?
Even like, using the Lord's name in vain, right?
Yes. There you go.
That still sticks with me. I still like maybe judge people that for cursing or whatever, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
It can be hard because I remember the very first time I said, God damn. and I was like, oh, nothing happened. But it's not one that I normally say, but I said it the first time with a real like passion behind it. And that was just like, oh, there's nothing wrong with saying that. And
right.
Yeah. So not that we're like, hey, go out and like start doing all these like crazy things, but just it's just kind of interesting because even something small like that can be such a huge like, hey, I can do this because I'm in charge and no one's watching.
Yeah, it's all about being in charge of your own life, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you have a YouTube channel called Brave New History, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my channel, Brave New History. We're talking about a lot about Islam, collaborating with Gnostic Quran, where Gnostic origins for the Quran and Islam. And we talk about Christianity. And I'm going to focus, going forward on mythicism and why Jesus was a historical figure. That's one of my things, right?
That's interesting.
But and
how long have you had this channel?
Almost a year now. So I started last July, I think it was. And
awesome. Well, everybody go subscribe to his channel. The link is in the description of this episode, or it should be, or you could just look it up. Brave New History.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming and for just sharing more about you and letting us get to know you and ask you a bunch of questions about stinky fish and no, seriously, thank you so much. We appreciate it. So Baph, where can we find you?
You can find me on TikTok, unfortunately, under Baphometal.666. But I am also the co-host and creator of the Burning Eden podcast. We have comedy and satire and fun conversations. We are on YouTube as well as any platform that you listen to podcasts on. Burning Eden podcast. It's like the Garden of Eden, but on fire.
Yes. I love your logo. And you can find me here or on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. But I also wanted to make mention that I'm going to be on Deep Drinks podcast this Saturday on their Purity Culture panel. Nice. So come and check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm getting excited preparing for that. And
when is it?
This Saturday, the 29th. It's going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it'll probably be a couple hours. There's 6 of us that are going to be on.
Wow.
Family Dr. Ben. He's no longer a student. Everyone can give him a big round of applause.
Congratulations, Dr. Ben.
Yes. And there's also going to be someone who used to be a pastor, and she is now a porn star. So
No way.
yeah, I saw your guys' eyes.
Is it Erin?
No.
Oh, someone
No,
else.
her name is Nicole. So
Okay, I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna put it in my calendar.
right, yeah. So
For
yeah,
educational purposes,
for
Elliot.
educational purposes.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a really good chat. And, you know, David put so much effort into his shows. So head on over there. And yeah. And then next week here on Secular Soapbox, we do have Owen Morgan, the Telltale Atheist, coming on. So yes, come and check that out. And don't forget that we have lots of other shows throughout the week. We have the Science Show with Sunny Shell. We have our call-in show on Sunday. We also have the Women Atheist Unload on Saturday and Global Atheists on Saturday too. So subscribe to our channel. Please ring that bell and just, support us, like the video, do all the things. We love you. Thanks so much for being here, Elliot and Beth, like always.
Thank you. And of course, we want to say a big thank you to our patrons on Patreon. Patreon.com. I'm not patronizing you, by the way.
I know.
Patreon.com/Skeptic Haven. If you like what we do, you want to support us, you can become a patron. We want to say thank you to Eric Ozols, Tara S., Rion, Deneen. Hi, Deneen, Dan, Michael Wiseman, Kathy Cotton, Cindy Plaza, Sunny Shell, Aaron Coalson, and Phil Calderone. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And good night, everyone.
Adios.
Thank you for visiting us on Patreon to support Skeptic Haven. We're a humanist media group that produces shows and social media posts to support science, skepticism, humanism, and critical thinking. We focus on topics that deserve more exposure. For example, the treatment of women in Iran, prejudice against the transgendered, the reality of scientific findings, the unpublicized harm that too often happens within religious communities, and finding of joy after one